If you didn't know, Oakley has officially started solids. I actually filmed a full week of him eating his first foods. I'll link that down below. But today I'm gonna just meal prep some new foods for him, and I was gonna make them anyway, so I thought I would film it. I'm basically gonna be doing a 1-hour baby meal prep for pretty much like a month's worth of food, if not longer. It does not take a lot of time to make your own baby food, and honestly, it can be really affordable, even buying organic and whole foods. I like to follow a baby-led weaning style, which doesn't mean you have to give your baby like big chunks of cooked broccoli. It can be pureed and thicker mashed food, but I like to preload utensils and allow him to really guide himself and feed himself. I know it's messy in the beginning, but it's really helpful down the road. We're gonna make everything from homemade bone broth to soup to happy poops, which is a really fun recipe and really delicious. And we're focusing on iron-rich foods, which is really important for this stage. All right, let's get started because we have a lot to cook up and us mamas don't have a lot of time. First up, we're gonna make some bone broth. We're doing it really simple. I have some apple cider vinegar, beef marrow bones I just got from the health food store. I just make sure to get grass-fed, organic. I have some shiitake mushrooms and then carrot and celery just to add flavor. You can just do the bones and the apple cider vinegar with water. Originally, I was just gonna buy it. You can get some really good qualities, but the thing is they all have salt, and so I want to do a salt-free version, and honestly, it's really easy to make. I'm gonna wash everything up, and then we're gonna pop it into the pressure cooker with some water and set it and forget it. I feel like that infomercial, you know? Does everybody know?
Put the window up.
Got it?
In about.
I'm gonna give my carrots a quick peel, and the celery, I'm just gonna give it a quick peel just to clean it up a bit. So I'm gonna give everything a rough chop. It doesn't need to be fine diced or anything because it's just in there to add flavor. I have a love-hate relationship with the Instant Pot, but it is really good for cooking things for a short period of time, but making them feel like and taste like they've been cooking for hours. If you don't have the pressure cooker, I will have instructions on my blog post down below on how to just use like a slow cooker or the stovetop. Okay, I'm gonna just have this in the back cooking away while we cook the next, oh my God, this is heavy. Oh, pelvic floor. Oh, 120 minutes, 2 hours. Don't explode. For the sweet potato, honestly, it's the easiest thing. I just washed and dried them, and then now you're gonna take all of your frustration out and just, oh, whoa, that was, okay, too intense. Stab it a couple times. This is so they don't explode in the oven. I'm preheating the oven at 400, and I like to roast them for about an hour, depending on the size. You can usually tell when it's done when like it's goozing out and it's kind of caramelized, and a fork will pierce through really easily. I have some beautiful organic beets that I just washed and dried, and I'm just gonna chop the tops and the bottoms off just to clean them up a bit. And then I'm going to just wrap them in parchment paper, add them to the sweet potatoes, and they're gonna roast at the same time. Beets are another great source of iron. They're also full of antioxidants and they're sweet. So even though they're a root vegetable, they taste really yummy. If your baby doesn't like the red ones, you could also try golden beets. They're a little bit more of a mild, sweeter taste, less like dirt. They have a beautiful earthy taste, and I think Oakley is going to love them. Next, I'm gonna make a really simple vegetable soup. We have some squash. I'm using kombucha. You can use butternut squash. It's an easy to find one. I'm also gonna add in some collard greens. Any green leafy vegetables are gonna be a great source of iron. I'm gonna add just probably 1 stalk of celery, a carrot just for flavor, and then we're also gonna get in some extra protein and iron using lentils. Lentils, beans, legumes are such a great food to start adding into your baby's food. Definitely be mindful if they're like gassy or something, but I'm just gonna start with lentils. I think that's a good like intro into legumes. So it's gonna give it some substance. Also, this is like my favorite squash. If you have not tried it, it is so creamy and delicious. Really good in curries, FYI. Oh my God, why are these squashes so hard? Oh my God. Oh. Look at that. It smells like pumpkin. I decided I'm actually just gonna roast this so I don't have to deal with taking the skin off. And because we're not using any salt, it's a really great way to add some extra depth of flavor without the sodium. I also decided I'm gonna massage some coconut oil on it before adding it to the pan in the oven. Okay, excuse me, sweet potato. I'm just gonna add the squash right on and get this back into the oven. See, 1 pan, make it easy, less dishes, less cleanup. That's how we roll. Ooh, it smells good already. I washed and peeled my carrot and celery. I'm just gonna chop this up, add it into a pot, and then same thing with my collard greens. I just gave it a good wash. I'm gonna chop off the stem part. I'm gonna roll up and chop my collard greens, add it to the pot, add some water, and then also we're gonna rinse and drain our red lentils and then add that in, let everything cook. And then hopefully by the time that's done cooking, the squash will be done. We'll add it all together, blend it, and we'll have some vegetable soup. So I added 4 cups of water. I'm gonna let this cook, and then depending on when my bone broth is done, I might add another 2 cups in here. So it'll be a total of 6 cups of liquid. I'm kind of making it up as I go. When it comes to baby food, I feel like people take it too seriously. And even though I've created like cookbooks and stuff, I just feel like don't let it intimidate you. Have fun in the kitchen. It's not meant to be a stressful time. There's definitely some key nutrients that you want to focus on, but don't get stressed out about it. Figure it out as you go, but I'm gonna have everything listed that I'm doing in the blog post down below, like I mentioned. Next, we're gonna prep our broccoli. So I'm going to just steam this, and then I'm gonna end up pureeing it with some spinach. I'm gonna steam all of it. I don't know if I'm gonna puree all of it, but if it doesn't go in Oakley's food, we will eat it for lunch or something. It will not go wasted. Next up, we're actually gonna make a recipe from my cookbook, the Baby HealthNut Cookbook. This is the Happy Poops recipe. And why it's called Happy Poops is that it has a lot of fiber in it, and if your baby is a little backed up, it will help them go. But honestly, it's a delicious recipe to have any day. It's made with the 3 Ps, which is prunes, pear, and peach. And if you can't find ripe peaches, just use frozen. These are already peeled, which is nice. I got organic. It's a really easy recipe. You're basically cooking everything for 20 minutes, blending it up. It's kind of like a baby jam, but I'm gonna give you guys this recipe for free in my blog post. Check it out. I'm also gonna give you a little freebie coupon code. Use HAPPY for 15% off either one of the cookbooks, the baby or the toddler HealthNut cookbook. Has over 30 recipes for your baby from 6 months and beyond. There's a bonus section of purees in the back, but also a ton of baby-led weaning friendly recipes. So honestly, something for every baby. And this is one of my favorite recipes, or I should say Sage's, and now hopefully Oakley's. I'm first gonna peel and chop my pear. To a pot, I'm gonna add my peaches, my pear. I love this brand of prunes. I just get organic and pitted. We're using Ceylon cinnamon. If you didn't watch my last baby meal prep, some people were very passionate about this kind of cinnamon. Don't use the regular. Top it with a lid, and we're gonna let this simmer for 20 minutes. I got a timer going off. I'm using like almost all the burners, the oven. This is how you cook in 1 hour. Right, broccoli is looking good. For the last couple minutes, I'm just gonna toss in some baby spinach and let that wilt down. Oh, that looks real good. Look how perfectly roasted that is. It's gonna add so much flavor to our soup. Ooh. I'm gonna pull off the squash and set aside to cool, and then I can scoop out the meat while everything else finishes roasting. Scrape the squash meat out. It's not dry, it actually just has like this kind of like a chestnut texture, but the liquid in the soup will give it some hydration. I'm gonna add that into the soup. Okay, give that a mix. I'm gonna let that sit while we wait for our bone broth to finish, and then I can add in more liquid, and then we'll puree. Now that the beets are cooled down enough to touch, I'm just gonna use some paper towel and rub off the skin. It just comes right off. Everything's cooling, and I'm gonna make a quick chia pudding. So easy. I can't wait for Oakley to have this. It's a very ripe banana. I cut off that top. Take some of that. If you don't want to do banana, you could also puree some mango. My bad, I meant to put this in my mini food processor, which I love this thing. You don't have to make it with it, but like, just gonna make everything smooth with the banana and not have banana chunks. I'm gonna blend up the banana with the coconut milk, add a dash of cinnamon, and then add in the chia seeds and blend it all up just for a quick second. Chia seeds are magical, and it's gonna create the most delicious pudding. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge for it to set and thicken up. Our bone broth is done. I let it do a natural release. That smells so good. Bone broth has so many benefits. It's good for gut health. It's easy to digest. It has collagen and protein in it, and it just adds a ton of flavor and minerals and nutrients to anything you add it to. So you can use it as a stock for soup, or you can also use it as a liquid for when blending baby food, which I'm gonna do. So we're gonna strain this. I'm gonna add in a couple cups to our soup, and then we're gonna basically puree everything. And then, oh, we have some oatmeal to make as well. I'm doing like an instant oatmeal mix that I'm very excited about. I'm gonna ladle the bone broth into a mason jar, and then I'll freeze any extra. This little guy is really handy, by the way, for filling up mason jars. So I'm gonna let this cool, and we're probably gonna use the rest of this for the other recipes just to give some liquid to blend it up. Anytime you need to add liquid into your baby's food, it's always great to add things like bone broth, breast milk. Anything with added nutrients is gonna be more beneficial than just plain water. Veggie soup is ready. I'm gonna take my handy dandy immersion blender. This thing is the best for making baby food. You don't have to get those fancy blenders for baby food, just this, or your regular blender will be just fine, or a food processor. You could also add in some cooked greens to this, but I think the lentils are gonna give it a nice texture. I can already see all of the fat from the bone broth. We're gonna blend it up and get it nice and smooth. Okay, we're gonna blend our happy poops now. Everything has cooked down, it's warm. We're gonna sprinkle in some chia seeds before we do, and this is gonna really help soak up any liquid and make it that jammy consistency, and also help with the happy poops. If you have older kids, this on toast as a jam would be so good. Oh, it's perfect. And this is gonna thicken up even more from the chia seeds once it sits a bit. Oakley is gonna gobble this up. He's gonna love it. Okay, we're gonna set this aside to fully cool. I'm gonna blend everything else up, add a little bone broth when needed. We're gonna freeze it into portions, and I think we're almost done. Next up, I'm gonna blend our broccoli and spinach. If you want, you can definitely add in a steamed apple in here if you wanna make it a little bit sweeter, but I think it's good to have a mix of flavors and not everything be sweet. And as they get older, you could definitely mix a little basil in here and add it to a pasta for like a little pesto sauce. Lots of ways you can use this, and I like it to be a little bit more hydrated because when you heat it up, it's gonna evaporate some of the liquid. Our sweet potatoes are perfectly soft. Squeeze them out into a bowl so we can just give it a quick little blend, but they're pretty soft, so you don't have to blend them too much. Oh, I think we need to put this in a blender. I think we're gonna add the beets to a blender because this is gonna like be a murder scene in here. It's already splashing. So food processor it is. When it comes to baby oatmeal and cereals, there are so many you can buy at the grocery store, but honestly, I like to just make my own. I know what's in it. Today, I'm gonna do a combination of rolled oats. These are organic sprouted oats. I have organic barley flakes and organic buckwheat groats. I have in the past found buckwheat flakes, but I couldn't find them, so I just got the groats, and I'm gonna try blending it all up and see what happens. Honestly, sometimes it's just an experiment. The idea here is to make a big batch of instant oatmeal that you can just easily make in the morning. A lot of times I'll sprinkle this in some coconut milk. You can add in cinnamon, banana, sweet potato, whatever you want, but you already have your oatmeal mixture ready to go. And all the measurements are gonna be listed in my blog post. I'm also gonna have a free downloadable grocery list, so you can just have that ready to go for when you are at the store shopping and getting all your items for your baby meal prep. I'm gonna transfer the happy poops into these little jars so that they are portioned out, and I can freeze them, and you can also, like if you are using a microwave, you can reheat them. Everything's blended, and now what I do is I like to transfer them into silicone molds. These are really handy because you can portion out the exact amount that you wanna freeze. Once they're frozen, I pop them out and I store them in a large silicone bag. I really like the stand-up stasher bag. I will link all the equipment that I'm using in the blog post. These two are really, really great. I've used them for Sage. I'm using them again for Oakley, and they've lasted, like I've had these since she was little, so they've really lasted. And they come with lids so you can freeze them. And what I do is I'll just kind of go through everything, freeze it, take it out, put it into the stasher bags, freeze it, put it into the stasher bags. So you don't need like a ton of these. You can just rotate them. Tomorrow, I'll just pop all the cubes out into the stasher bag. If you aren't following me on Instagram and TikTok, I show how I heat up baby food. I have an old video that went viral, but I will be doing more of them. So make sure you're following me on there if you want to know how I do it, because we actually don't own a microwave, so I just like to do it on the stovetop. Are you excited? You have so much food. He's really excited for all of his new food prepped. You're gonna try so many fun things. We got beets, oatmeal, broccoli, soup. Okay, I'm actually gonna give him the happy poops to see what he thinks. There you go. There you go. That's new. He's gonna get this all over me. So guys, check out the blog post. I'm gonna have it down below with everything linked, a free downloadable grocery checklist for you guys to go shopping with. And don't forget to use the code HAPPY for 15% off the baby HealthNut cookbook or the toddler HealthNut cookbook. What do you think? You like it? Is it making you happy? Are you gonna have happy poops? And make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok if you want to see him actually eating this food. I'm always popping in to show you guys what Oakley and Sage are eating, to give you guys some inspiration on what to feed your kids, because I know it's a struggle. Is it good? Is it good? He's like, I'm not letting it go. Is that good? All right, we're gonna get this into the fridge, freeze it all up, and we are set to go for the next month.